Happy Thursday. What is up? If you guys saw me just now, I was like trying to run and grab some water and then run back really quick before the countdown timer hit. So excited for you guys being here. I'm really excited about the show because Sonya's amazing. And I'm going to share a little bit about her background, but really quick. Anybody that's new here, welcome to the show. I'm your host, Jack Scott, and you have come to the most amazing place ever, Outpost Gray, which is in collaboration with Grant Thornton. Just so you know, all of the thoughts and opinions here are my own personal thoughts and opinions and not Grant Thornton's. Hey, Carrie, good to see you. James, always good to see you. Love the articles that you wrote. Thank you. Cybersecurity Central in the house, as always. I don't think Cybersecurity Central or Chem or any of you guys ever take a sick day for the show. So you guys are the best. Thank you for that. Friendly reminder, if you are watching this and this is your first time, we do go live every Thursday from 3:30 to 4:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I do either panels, fireside discussions, or I do one-on-one interviews like we're going to have today. Really quick, just to give you guys a show lineup of what we've got going on. We do have an awesome special event happening next week on the 20th. I'm super excited about this because it is Outpost Gray in collaboration with, look at all those people, in collaboration with Simply Cyber and WeSys, which is the Women's in Cybersecurity partnership, to discuss some of the challenges that we're seeing within cybersecurity, specifically for veterans. Anybody's welcome. Something really cool is we're going to be doing a giveaway. We're giving away Jerry's Cyber GRC Analyst Masterclass. So definitely be there. We're going to do a live rally for that. That is on the 20th, so it's a little off schedule. And just to let you guys know, next Thursday, I have two Cyber Fed experts on the show. You guys know how much I love Cyber Fed. We're going to be talking about NDAA, the Intel authorization out, and this big push into modernization and the funding that we're seeing in the federal space, because it's a big push if you're tracking like zero trust and the movements with the multi-factor authentication and supply chain risk. So big pushes there. And if you don't already know, you should know. Tomorrow, 9 a.m., it's going hot. Cyber Fed news. It's the roundup of what is happening in the Cyber Fed space. Shout out to James. James Driscoll is one of the authors on the show, and he always produces two of the shows. Bonus point if you can ever figure out which one he produces. They're pretty dang good. So good luck in figuring that out. All right, so let's talk about our guest. I'm super excited about Sonya Moisset. I've known her, God, she's in the green room right now. I'm going to say that I've known you for like, I don't know, a year. I'll have to go back and actually look at the Epic Women in Cyber article that you wrote. But that's how we met. She is the founder of Epic Women in Cyber and Epic Women in Tech. It is a blog article that is designed to highlight women and their accomplishments in cybersecurity. And she was actually and is the muse in a way behind the female voice of technology and innovation, because she inspired me. I saw what she was doing. We're going to talk about this blog, the Epic Women in Cyber, and the impact, the like vast impact that she has made and really truly changed so many women's lives just by deciding to step out and do something and make an impact in the community. So super fan of her. Currently, she is a senior security advocate with SNIKE. I hope I remember I said that right. If not, she'll correct me. SNIKE, which means So Now You Know. Other titles that she can wear include GitHub Star, founder, mentor, expert, blog writer, and author. She is also known, again, for her work and her blog work with Epic Women in Cyber and Epic Women in Tech. Go check that out. And she is also a mentor in all of this. She makes time to mentor the next generation in tech by volunteering her time with Caps Lock and Cyber Girls, which we will also dive into that as well. So you guys are in for a real treat today. So without further ado, let's go ahead and let's get the guests on the show. Let's do it. Hello, Sonya. How are you?
Hey, hi everyone. Woo.
I am so thrilled that you're here. Oh my gosh, this is like dream come true. You're calling in from the UK right now, right?
Yeah, it's a bit late in the UK, but yeah, really happy to be here. Thanks, Jax, for inviting me in. yeah, looking forward to it.
This is, yeah, no, this is going to be cool. I'm glad that you can make the time and come and join the Outpost Great community on a Thursday. I have a question though, because the leather jacket is kind of like a trademark of yours. I've seen it a lot and you're wearing it right now, which I love. But what is the story behind the leather jacket?
Yeah, this is usually, I know that people working in cybersecurity, where they have that cliche that they're wearing black hoodies. So just want to break the stereotype and just wear a leather jacket because I'm a rebel.
I love it. Well, you have, if everybody can see this, she's not only wearing a leather jacket, but she's still wearing, can you see it? A hoodie. So it's like, do you have a hoodie on right now?
No, I don't. This is a little bit too warm to wear the
It would
hoodie
be
and
way
the
warm.
jacket. So yeah.
Yeah, you're like
I usually,
rocking a hoodie with
I
it.
usually have it during winter season. Yeah.
No way. That would be so warm. Woo. So let's talk about, and did I say it right? Snike, right? It's snike.
It's sneak.
Oh man, I knew I said it right the other day during our pre-show, and then I'm like, man, I'm gonna mess this up now that we're gonna go live. Sneak, yeah. So actually, let's take a step back. Let's talk about how we met, which was the Epic Women in Cyber, and I really want to kind of peel back that layer a little bit and share a little bit about what. And I'm going to share where your blog site is too, because I think that's like a critical part, how we met and the impacts that you've made. So why did you start Epic Women in Cyber? How did it even begin?
Sure. So if we go back to the origin story, like that term, of the initiative of Epic Women in Cyber, I started it 3 years ago because I was scrolling on Twitter and I was looking at the Follow Friday hashtag, and I was mostly seeing the same names again and again for the cybersecurity industry.
Yeah.
And I thought it was a little bit unfair to many, as the Follow Friday tag should be used to discover new people in the industry. So this is when I started looking for women working, studying, or just interested in the cybersecurity field on LinkedIn and Twitter, and who should have some more visibility for all of the amazing work they were doing around the world. So every Friday, every week, I was reaching out to around 20, 30 women, and I was mentioning and tagging them, and then I started collating the names on the list. And this was getting more attention and traction on Twitter, more than I expected. I also got messages from people surprised to see so many women in this industry, which is a little bit strange, but I decided then to move to another format for the initiative. And this is when I started the interview series. So the goal was simple, is to have a set of questions for everyone to capture their journey. And I wanted the initiative to be diverse and inclusive, so all women should be included. And the initiative showcased their experiences, their challenges, just to inspire young women to choose the industry, to inspire women who would like to switch careers, or just to show that women around the world are driving amazing initiatives. And sometimes they don't get the attention that they should have.
Oh, I
And also
love
for
Dr. Wynn. Sorry, I interrupted you, but Dr. Wynn is amazing. I got to interview her on 2 Cyber Chicks. Okay, keep going. This is so awesome.
Yeah, and also for our allies, so regardless of their gender, to be inspired and get to know them. So I wanted to have that platform for where women and men can be inspired by other women, regardless of their origin, their backgrounds, and just wanted stories from women in the cybersecurity industry, from Asia, from Africa, from Middle East, from South Africa, just to be recognized, and their story could resonate potentially to anyone in this industry. Yeah, so I also find out that this was a good opportunity for these women to be featured by their company on LinkedIn or within their internal communication platform. And some of these women are finally recognized because they've actually sent me messages after just the feedback, which is great and sad at the same time, because I think you shouldn't wait for a platform like Epic Women in Cyber to publish an article to be recognized by the company or your peers. But yeah, some of them, they told me that they got promoted, they got pay raises, they got a little bit more visibility and recognition in their company, which was great for that. So yeah, this is
This is
the origin story.
amazing. Yeah. And what I love about that story is how, like, this article you've literally changed women's lives, because you've been able to create a platform that has so much influence that it has allowed these women to be able to get a raise and have their voice heard. That's impressive.
Yeah, I was surprised when they actually reached out to me and saying that that happened after the article, which is great. I was actually like really celebrating with them. This is amazing. Yeah,
How
great
do
news.
you find these women? Are they recommendations? Like, do they have to have like a certain qualification to be part of the Epic Women in Cyber? Or does it? I mean, yeah. How do you go about getting these women?
So at first I did my own research, say on LinkedIn and Twitter. Then I asked the women that I interviewed to recommend me a few women if they have in their circle. And no, I don't have any qualification because this little bit could be a little bit unfair. I just want to showcase any woman that works in the cybersecurity and tech industry, because they might have something interesting to share, whatever level they are at the stage of their career they are. So yeah, I think just to open it to anyone who's working in that industry.
And for the Epic Women in Tech, did you start them simultaneously, or did you start cyber and then build tech?
So I started cyber, and then I decided to expand to tech, just to also, because there's a lot of women working in tech, so just wanted to showcase this and nudge myself to cybersecurity.
I love that. This is so amazing. I love what you're doing here. So you do that on your free time with everything else you're doing. And I looked at your LinkedIn, and I mean, I'll drop our LinkedIn in chat so you can follow. You have right now currently 7 positions, probably even more than that, but 7 that I counted, or not 7, 11 that I counted that are active positions. And so I'm just curious, how do you find the time to like do your job and then also be able to contribute to the community, because you are a big contributor to the community, which we'll talk about the other things that you're doing as well.
Yeah, so I have my day job as a senior security advocate at Sneak, and before that, I was a principal security engineer at Photobox, and I was doing all DevRel activities outside. And I thought it would be good to find a company where I could try to implement those DevRel activities and also participating to the community within my day-to-day job, which I feel lucky that I could do that at Sneak. But yeah, usually I try to find opportunities or communities where I could help or give back, because I'm entirely self-taught. So I think it's important to give back to the community. And if I can do this through mentorship, through participating to blog posts, like presenting, attending events or conferences, just to share also that knowledge. Yeah, I'm more like on that giving side, to give back to the community.
Yeah, I am a big contributor. Like, I like to give back to the community. I feel like you are definitely, I think I told you this during our pre-show. I was like, I'm busy, and I think you're busier than I am. Because you have to just be go, go, go. And some of the things, 2 of the projects in particular that I found really interesting that you're working on, correct me if I'm wrong, if I say these wrong, but you're mentoring your mentor with Caps Lock, a cybersecurity boot camp, and then also Cyber Girls, which is a boot camp for women out of Africa. And those are 2 big areas where you're helping mentor the next generation, which is a really critical thing. How did you get involved with these 2 different mentors, and why did you pick these 2 specifically?
Sure. So both of them actually approached me, and I looked at their website, looked at their initiative, obviously to see, because for Caps Locks, this is a mixed cohort. I usually mentor women in tech and cyber, but I thought because those people that wanted to break into the cybersecurity could have a go and mentor, regardless of the gender. It's so important for the future of this industry. So I thought that also just a little bit sad on me, but I'm mentoring others because I didn't have any mentors when I started. So I wanted to share my experience with the women in tech and cyber that I'm mentoring now, because I think it's critical to give your time back to guide, inspire, or present what it means to work in tech or in cyber if they have any questions. And just mentoring the next generation is important and critical. Just mentoring women who would like to make a career change, or mentoring young girls like the one I'm doing with CyberSafe in Africa. This is amazing. Just to to emphasize on that, Cyber Girls is part of Cyber Foundation, Cyber Safe Foundation, and it's a 1-year fellowship that trains young girls with cybersecurity skills. And so the cohort is entirely based in Africa, different countries. So the cohort that I have now, it's coming from different countries. This is amazing, and the purpose of this initiative is amazing because it's improved the socioeconomic well-being of girls and women living in underserved communities in Africa by providing them cybersecurity training and mentorship and job opportunities. And being part of this is really great. And they have different paths from threat intelligence, SOC, cloud security, pen testing, and knowing that that could potentially change their life in the future, it's amazing to be part of that and just guide them, mentor them, and support them on that side.
What are some of the biggest things that you've seen, like impacts when you're working with these girls, like within the cyber boot camp and the women in Africa? I mean, have you seen in your time, if they reached out to you and just like told you how your mentorship has impacted them?
Yeah, I think there's probably for women in tech and women in cyber, there's a lack of a role model. So having someone who they can inspire them. And that's also why I actually created also Epic Women in Cyber, to also showcase women that could inspire young girls that could resemble, that talks to them, that look like them. So I think it's important to have that side as well. But
yeah, I agree. I keep changing the screen because I'm like trying to I'm like, oh, I wonder if this will look better. So don't mind me over here. I think I'm going to stick with this one and this one. Okay, so I wanted to mention, I wrote a note over here to bring this up about the mentor piece that like really resonated with me, was not having a mentor when I got into the space. And that's why you're giving back and mentoring. Not only did I not have a good mentor, I had really toxic mentors. So it was like the opposite. It was almost like I'd rather not have had mentors than the situations that I kept getting myself into. So I'm definitely really big about giving back into the community and helping people, because it is hard to break into this community. But I think one of the biggest things is we need the next generation in this space, because it's not cybersecurity technology. It's not going away. As emerging technology comes out, our threatscape will increase. Our adversaries are going to continue to get smarter. And I think one of the big areas is we need to not only develop the next generation, but the women. And I know, like in America, when I was a kid, I wanted to get into coding. My father codes, my brothers code, but it was not like, I was very much like, you're a girl, you can't, you're not smart enough, you don't do math. And even though I had that desire, I was still that time and age. And a lot of America, we've gotten better with the STEM programs, but it's still not, we're still not drawing in women. So I'm curious from your side, especially since you've traveled a lot, which we'll probably talk a little bit about, like you living in Korea and you know, you're from France and you're living in UK. From your perspective, are you seeing that we're doing better on that side of the world with getting more women into STEM, or are we still lacking in that area?
I think there's some improvements. There's still room for we can still do better on that side. I mean, I can share my experience on that because, as you mentioned, I didn't start in tech at first. Well, I think it goes back to when I was young, when I was interested in tech. My mom gave me my first computer. It was in the mid 80s, and it was an MSX from the Japanese brand Sanyo. So I can probably say today that I was inspired to work in tech because of my mom. That's probably because of her. So yeah, if I ended up here. But yeah, that was my first experience with the world of tech. This was also my first experience with video games, because on that computer you had 2 slots for putting cartridge. So yeah, I'm still playing a lot of video games on that, and first experience with floppy disks. So yeah, I was surrounded with tech. And I was like starting with just dabbling with programming. I did a lot of try and experiment and fail. And also it was the time of MySpace as well, where you could actually change the background, change the CSS, and you think you were the best web developer. Everything was super colorful or super messy. But yeah, at that time I was using HTML, CSS, JavaScript, PHP. I wasn't really thinking about having a career in tech because I didn't have anyone around me saying, oh, you could potentially have becoming a software engineer or just in that type of career. So I don't have a computer science. I attended a business school in Paris. And yeah, I've been working as a business consultant for 10, 12 years. I've been working in the Middle East, in Asia, also back in Europe. And the thing is, I've always been driven by challenges, and I was looking for new challenges. So when I was based in South Korea, I decided to learn Korean because why not? That first because it would ease my understanding of the culture and my stay there in South Korea, but also because most of the Korean companies I was working with require a strong level of Korean, and also for the working visa, that was a requirement. So after I finished learning Korean, I was still looking for a new challenge. And this time I was looking for something a little bit more technical. And was the same time the companies I was working on with, they actually asked for me to create some websites. So they were more demanding in terms of skills. So I started creating and maintaining their websites. So it was from the like wireframing, the conception of the design of the websites until the up to the hosting and maintaining it. So yeah, entirely self-taught. And at the time, it was like 10, 12 years ago, they didn't have that much free resources online. So it's a little bit difficult also to learn that kind of skills. So yeah, this is when I did the complete switch to the tech industry from there, because I loved it.
Yeah.
I found it really more interesting than I was doing as a consultant.
Yeah, and Joe just asked a great question. I'm going to bring it at Requim 2099. Did you always have 2099 at the end? I don't remember that, Joe. But anyway, good guy. Congrats on the job. He just landed a cybersecurity job. So super excited for you. He said, how do you feel the business background aided you with your cyber initiatives? So where you're at today, do you feel like what you did for the last 12 years as like a business consultant has allowed you to be as successful, as like aided you in where you're at today?
I guess, yes, it did help on, for example, creating your brand. So creating my own brand awareness, all of this like tricks and tips that you could use in business, and seeing yourself as a product that you can sell on like creating your LinkedIn profile, on your social media like Twitter and other, like having that kind of skills. Also around presentations, also understanding the business lingo and what is going on in a company. I hope to have that business understanding is important, because usually engineers, they try to focus only on the technical bits and they might miss the business side. So yeah, like having that both transferable skills was a good thing.
That's amazing. I love that. One thing I've noticed working in the consulting world myself is the overall communication process. You really have to adjust to each client. And I think as a society, at least the younger generation, we're not as good as communicators as we could be, because we do a lot of like shorthand text, and we don't. When you're with consulting, you need to over communicate. You need to be able to write an email to a client and be able to provide enough of an update. So you need to understand how to like do things at the executive level, communicate with different personalities. That's something that I was fairly good at, but getting into my current client services job, I've definitely refined it, because it's a different world. I always tell people, unless you've worked in consulting, it's just a completely different world until you work in it. But I think they're unperishable skills, so they won't go away. So you speak Korean. I want to go back to that. So everybody heard that. She like speaks Korean, had to learn it, attended a Korean university. You speak French as well. English, obviously. What do you speak? Any other languages?
Yes, Spanish as well. I used to speak Arabic when I was younger, because I grew up in the Middle East. But it's the usual, when you don't use the language, you tend to go away, which is a little bit of a shame. But yeah.
Now, do you code in any other language, or like other than English, or do you just code in English? Like.
No, because I've actually learned it in English. Like, do you mean like the comments and everything? Yeah. I usually like code in English, but I had sometimes when I was reading documentation obviously in English, in French, but also in Korean, because it was funny. But in some of the frameworks, the documentation in Korean was a bit more interesting than the one that they had. They had more examples than the one in English. For example, for the Vue.js, the JavaScript framework, I find the Korean website amazing compared to the English website. So, but yeah.
That's hilarious. Wow. Have you been able to, because I know like sometimes when I worked in CTI, cyber threat intel, there would be times where we would get malware and it would have like, you know, the Chinese symbols or Korean symbols, and you know, unless you know how to read that, you're just kind of like, have you ever had any of that where anybody sent you anything and been like, hey, can you read this and help us decipher it? Have you ever had that?
Not for cybersecurity. Yeah, but yeah, I had to do some translations. Yeah, with Korean. I find it easier translating from Korean to English than the other way around. It's a bit more technical, but yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. I love language. Yeah. And when I found out she was originally from France, I like freaked out because I'm like I love French. I love everything French food. I've studied French. I'm not very good at speaking it. My French coach laughed at me. Like, she's so sweet, but she was like, okay, give me your introduction. I like told her all the things in French. And then when I was done, she started laughing at me. She was like, that was so cute. That was the most American French accent. Because you guys sing song. And I'm like, I'm so American. And I was just like, everything's blocked. She's like, yeah, we got to work on that. Yeah. Like, good God. But it's okay. I'm going to move to France one day. Okay. Anissa dropped a comment in here I want to share with you. I love this. So she's reached out to you. Anissa Redmond reached out to you. She requested to connect. She said, I'm halfway through my InfoSec degree. Congratulations, girl. So I'm so happy to be able to find out about your work. Yes, I love it. Definitely a great resource. And then Joe just dropped, because he had to leave for work, but he said, badass biker chick aside, because he loves the leather jacket. He's a biker guy. He's like, I'm for anything with big, bold personality wise. We need more confidence, varied personalities in the community, break up the stereotype. Only way to normalize. 100%. That actually brings another question to me, because of the work that you're doing, and you're highlighting these women from all walks of life. And it's an area that just 2 or 3 years ago, we had barely 10% of women in cybersecurity. I think it's up to 15 or 20%, which I think is doing substantially well, but we need more women. How is it going on your end of the world, and like what in your sphere and what you're seeing? Do you think that we again are doing a good job with bringing, and not just women, but diversity and inclusion as a whole into the community?
Yeah, I felt lucky at my previous workplace. We were entire female-only security team, which is rare. So that was that. Now that I joined Sneak, there's this diverse team in the DevRel, which is amazing. But to go back to your question, I did attend a lot of events around women in tech, women in cyber. So I do see a lot of women in the industry here, which is good, which is refreshing. I've also attended one event 2 days ago at the Google office. There was also driven for women in tech. So it was great to see all of this 200 plus women in their office. So yeah, there are women in tech, there are women in cyber. So I find it a little bit sad when recruiters saying they're struggling to find good talents in women in tech or cyber and diversity, because they're out there. Just let's probably make a little bit of effort to reach out to them if they attend those kind of meetups or conferences.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on that? Like, there's varied opinions on this, and I'd love to get yours. But we talk about like we see it in the U.S. Like Congress puts out, we have the shortage of cybersecurity personnel, not even just on the commercial side, but our military strength is hurting. And so it's like we have all of these open seats, but recruiting, like, but then you have people like Joe, for example, who just fell off, and then Carrie's in the chat right now, who's been struggling to get an entry-level job. I'm like, so what? And I'm telling you right now, Sonya, if you want to partner on this, we totally can. I have this strategy and idea to fill this gap and like make this create a bridge of like entry level to organizations, but like, why can we not figure it out? We know there's a gap. There's talented people that are seeking jobs. Why is that gap still there? Like, what are we doing wrong?
I think probably it's at the recruiting level, the way we create the job spec, the terms, the vocab that we're using. Because there's this thing that I'm always hearing is, if a woman look at the job spec and find that she couldn't, so she only have like 2 out of 10 things she want to apply, but a man would like apply regardless of if he actually fit all the list of requirements. So yeah, I think probably it's at the HR level during the recruitment phase that we could potentially improve some things just to avoid those like bottlenecks and try to recruit more diverse people. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I also think that we're going to have to, like, I have a plan. I have a strategy. I'll just put it out there. If somebody wants to pick it up, cool. You want to bring me on board, that's fine too. I have this idea and strategy of like, we've got all these boot camps, we've got all these certifications, and we have an organization that brings individuals on like Carrie and Joe and James, and we bring them on and we go, okay, you're going to go through this, for example, SANS boot camp, and you're going to do their 4-week program. And then this organization called Acme Brick is going to take you on under the conditions of a 6-month internship after you complete this. And you're going to be a contractor, so you're not fully employed, and you're going to work with them for 6 months in this particular role. And part of that agreement, though, is they get paid, like, they don't get paid their full wage because they're an intern, but they do get like a minimum wage. But the organization pays us to do that hunting, to not only train them up, but then put them in a role. So now they've really, those organizations, like, all the liability is out of their hands. They don't have to worry about bringing somebody on. If it doesn't work out, now they got to keep them on payroll. They can basically test drive and see if they want to utilize them. And if not, they go, like, basically a person goes back into the pot and then can go work for another company or wait if another company wants them. That's my thought process of like something like that possibly working, but I don't know. I'm going to keep throwing that idea out there. I think somebody will grab it. Yeah. I think it could work. I think the big thing too is like organizations, like it wins on 2 problems here. They don't have the liability of like bringing somebody on, they don't work out, now they're on their books. The other one is they don't have to pay the full like salary. They could do like, all right, we're going to bring them on. They get to pay like 50% of their salary for 6 months or something like that. A lot of people, I think, in this industry would do it because they'll get hands-on experience regardless of what happens. And it's better than being unemployed in a lot of ways. And Carrie, yeah, see, he's like, I would love that. I know, Carrie, you would take that in a second. A lot of these individuals would. So anyway, back to you. Let's go back to Sonya. What's your thoughts on that, though, Sonya? Do you think that could be like?
It's a good idea. Yeah, also love it. Yeah.
I know. Now I just need some funding. I need a CV to fund my company. Yeah, if anybody knows a CV who's willing to drop a couple million, I know Kimberly will be on board. I got you, Kimberly. Okay, so let's go back to you. Let's do a little bit of a pivot and take a few steps back. And I want to talk about like, okay, so where you're at today. Obviously, you weren't always in cybersecurity. You had your own journey of breaking into the industry, going from working as a software engineer and doing business consulting in South Korea. How, like, take us through kind of a timeline of like, you went from there. What inspired you to move into cyber, and like, how did you break into it? What was that process? Was it pretty easy, or did you have challenges?
So when I was in South Korea, I moved to the tech industry for 100%. And when I moved to London, then I moved to the cybersecurity industry. So basically, I've always been interested in cybersecurity since I started working in tech. I know it sounds cheesy, but I found it cool. I don't know why, but that also, I was sitting next to the security team, and I was asking them a lot of questions on the tools that we're using, the processes, the projects that we're working on, etc. I think at some point they got tired and they asked me if I was interested in becoming their security champion. I guess it was a win-win situation also for them, because as I was interested in security, I could actually bridge the the engineers and the security team. So I said yes. I tried it for some time, and at some point, the CISO actually asked me if I wanted to join the team. And yeah, she said I was generally interested in cybersecurity. So from there, I applied exactly the same methodology that I did when I switched to tech, which was attending meetups, conferences, reading blogs, white papers, reports, following peers in the industry, learning new skills. Obviously, I was also writing walkthroughs for on Hack the Box for a free code camp, writing blog posts, etc. So doing the same methodology that I was doing for when I did the move to tech. I was applying the same for when I moved to cyber. So I started as a security engineer. At my last job, I was a principal security engineer. And now I'm a senior security advocate talking and preaching about security all day long. So yeah, I'm really happy about that.
That is awesome. Wow. So you just kind of like, it sounds like it was something that like naturally happened for you because of where you were with your software engineering and what you were doing. And it also sounds like it was because you were networking and it was because somebody knew you.
Yeah, it's really important actually also to network, to attend these events, these conferences. It was a bit of a challenge because I'm introverted. I'm an INTJ on the MBTI, which is quite challenging when you go through a network. It's just, but yeah, I know I had to do it at some point just to get out there and people could know me for the work that I was doing. So I started like posting a lot on LinkedIn and Twitter what I was doing, where I was speaking at, and all those things, and then you get some opportunities that people are reaching out to you and ask you if you want to write blog posts for them, or if you want to speak at their meetups or conferences. Yeah, but I would probably recommend for those of you who are also introverted and don't really know how to break into like the speaking scene or this. You can start with blog posts just to build up confidence and your expertise in one specific domain, and then when you attend meetups, you can reach out to the organizer and ask if they organize panels, because I find it usually easier when you're in panel. Not saying everything is easy, but it's easier when you can bounce ideas in between people. And then when you feel a bit more confident, you can just give a short talk, like a lightning talk at first, like for 10 minutes, and then go from there and do bigger events. Yeah. Or you can just do online. You're just hidden behind your screen, so you're safe. If it's like 1,000 people watching you, I don't know how many people are at the moment. Yeah.
I love that you said that about blogs, because I too am an INTJ. So go INTJs. And I shared a little bit about like being really scared about doing this YouTube, and I've never thought about like, I want followers. Because just doing it was scary enough. I'm much less thinking about, oh my God, I'm going to get followers and subscribers. That actually scared me more, because I'm like, more people are going to watch me. So it's been all about this like content. But before that, it was a blog. I created a blog. It was called Beans and Bites, BYTE, Beans and Bites blog. It was supposed to be about, it's so silly, supposed to be about coffee, because I love coffee and tech, but then I never wrote about coffee. So I just put everything under Outpost Great. But Sonya, I was so scared to share what I would write to the community. So I actually hired, because I wasn't always a good writer, I hired a college kid from Brown University to edit all of my blogs for like 8 months. And I would go through, and I told him, I need you to track everything, because I would go through and look at everything. And I would like make sure it was good to go before I would share it, because I was so scared. But I will tell you that, like you said, it helped me build my confidence. And then for you, I'm curious, I know for me, it was starting my podcast almost 2 years ago that really helped me find my voice. So I found my confidence in a way writing, but finding my voice and being on panels, that was like a different level of confidence. So for you, when did you make that transition, and how did that go when you started putting yourself out there? Because you do a ton of talks, like you're always talking, you're always doing, I've interviewed you on 2 cyber checks. Like, when was that transition for you? Because it's just different from writing to actually doing speaking engagements.
Yeah, so I've been doing blogging for a while. I started with Free Code Camp, with really niche blog. So it was explaining algorithms. So you can find
I
like
love
boring,
that.
but but I was saying like step-by-step explanations. And so Quincy Larson, who's the one who created Pre-Code Camp, told me that actually, and we're looking at the Google Analytics results, and some of them like went like million views, and they're the top of the Google search. Just to like some examples in how to reverse a string in JavaScript. Apparently, some people are reading it before prepping for Google or Facebook events or interviews. I was like, okay, wow, this just like coming
That's
from someone who
awesome.
like self-taught is really amazing to hear that feedback. But I would say, as I mentioned earlier, this I've started with panels, and then when I actually started volunteering at Pride in London, so it's LGBT charity here based in the UK. I was tech lead, and I built up my own team of developers. We had 20 developers for the website and application. And because I've set up all their infrastructure and their CI/CD pipeline, and we're using open source tool, everything was open source. And I thought that it would be a good topic actually to have within presentation. So I started like creating that presentation and started touring all of the meetups and conferences, talking about securing open source projects, using the GitHub applications that you find on the GitHub Marketplace, because everything is free for, well, most of them are free for open source projects and public repos. So embedded security and guardrails at each stages, and creating that infrastructure and pipeline. And yeah, I've actually built that expertise and more built up confidence around that. And also by getting the feedback from people at the end of the talk, or if people are reaching out to you through LinkedIn or on Twitter, just posting messages saying that they've actually learned something new through your talk, is giving you a little bit boost of confidence.
Yeah, I love that. I hope that really, I think that'll resonate with individuals either now or when they watch pre-record on that. Because I know that's an area that I always get asked about, because we work in a very introverted place. And, you know, we talk about, hey, you need a network. It's really important to network. And these introverts are like, seizing up. So I actually wrote an article on like networking and how to do it. Because for me, it was all about strategy. So I made it like a game in a way, or like an end goal of like, okay, I'm going to go to this networking event. I know it's going to be like, you know, who's going to typically be at those events, like companies or individuals. And then I would pick 3 to 5, and I would make sure that I talked to 3 to 5, those specific people, build a relationship with them. And then if I met those 3 to 5 in 45 minutes and it was a 2-hour networking event, I might leave. It would just, you know, it would just depend. But for me, it's like, okay, now I've gotten better at it and more relaxed. But I think it's an area where it's like you need to learn how to put yourself out there and build those confidence. And I love how you started with blogs, and now you're just, I mean, you would never guess that you're introverted, but I can understand being an introvert myself. It's like, you know when to turn it on and like turn it off.
I'm still like really scared before going on stage. I had one in-person talk last week at the Always London chapter. They had around, I think, 200 people live and standing in front of me. Yeah.
What do you do? Like, what do you do before? Like, do you do the, like, because, you know, some people be like, dance around, do the hero stance. What do you do before a talk?
So, usually I try to talk to people I know, which is like kind of reassuring. And people that you know usually sit on the front row, so I'm just like looking at them. And I'm actually wearing glasses, so what I'm doing is just like removing glasses so I don't see people's faces. And just yeah. I'm just focused on the presentation. I don't see people's faces.
That
So
is
if they're
awesome.
grumpy, I won't see it.
That is awesome. I love that. I always look at the top of the heads. Yeah. God, when was the last time I did a presentation in Oh, I did one at school. Yep. I did one at school last term. So fall. And Sonya, it's classmates. There's 6 people. I know the topic. I'm like presenting on something I created. I was so nervous. I was like almost shaking, and I like started to brief, and I was the first one to brief because I raised my hand. I was like, I'll do it, because I felt confident. And then I got up there and I started kind of freaking out. And I'm like, because I hadn't briefed in front of people. Yeah, that was rough, but that reminded me, I was like, oh yeah, I'm still an introvert. Fun. But I think
I have a good story for you for introverts. They're gonna shout, they're gonna scream. So it was for the QCon in London. That was before the pandemic, and they allocated me a small room, and it was 150 seats, which is a good seat. And what I didn't know is participants could actually vote on the application for the talk that they were interested in. And because apparently my talk got a lot of votes, they actually moved me to the keynote room, which is like 600, 700 seats. And they actually told me that for like 2 hours before the talk.
Oh no.
Yeah, so you could imagine the level of stress. They're like, it's the same presentation. It's like, no, it's not. You don't understand. It's just different.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would freak me out. And then I would have to do like a meditation and be like, just think of it as the same amount of people, just in a different group, like room, same amount of people, different room. I actually do like certain exercises before I'll do visualization. And then like before a big client call now, if it's like a really big client call and we're doing a kickoff call, I usually get a little nervous when I first start, just because I'm like, you got that anxious energy. And I do this thing called EFT tapping. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but yeah, I will sit here and I'll be like, I love and accept myself. I know that I am so like freaking out right now. And I'll do that behind the stage and people will be like, what is she doing? I'm just tapping my face. If nobody knows what that is and
Yeah.
you're like, what is she talking about? Just Google EFT tapping. It will save your life. You're welcome. Yeah. You can use it for anything that you have like anxiety about, a new job, an interview you're going into. It works for me. Okay, so let's talk about, I want to talk about some soft skills that you have to have. I hope you have, because you do so much in the community. You know, you're doing the mentor thing, as we've talked about. You're a published author, you're a writer, you do these interviews, you do speaking engagements. You're also a GitHub Star. Like, how do you do it all? Like, what is your technique? Is it time blocking? Do you have a routine first thing in the morning where you wake up at like 4:30 a.m. and like pour coffee over your head and like meditate? Like, what is Sonya's thing to make sure that you're able to do all of this, but without like getting burnt out and losing your mind?
Yeah, I think this would depend on your mental health mainly, and this was also bigger during the pandemic because you can be the most organized person, but when something happens in your life, just you all feel the impact. I had a personal matter that actually impacts everything, including the initiative that you mentioned, and I had to stop for a few months to recover. But usually I try to centralize everything at one place. So I have one Google Workspace and one Google dedicated Gmail address where I have all the emails, the calendar, the discussions for all the activities that I have outside of Sneak. And I would block some time every other day to go through the emails and messages, to reply, to update the calendar, to check availability, to prepare the slides if I have a presentation, or recycle the slides if I can improve the talk. For Epic Women in Tech and Epic Women in Cyber, I have templates that I can send to the women I interview, and I can track everything from the drive. Yeah, obviously I don't have like KPIs or goal settings. It's just going with the flow. But it's not easy because when I have ADHD, so I have a lot of sticky notes in front of me to have everything
Oh
visual
my
in
God,
front
me
of
too.
me.
Yep.
So I don't forget stuff. I need to have it in front of me so I can do it. I usually set up also notification to get reminders. I also use a lot of pen and paper to list things that I need to do or prioritize. Although I use Notion and Google Workspace mainly. But yeah, as I said, also I'm also lucky that as Nick I can spend some time on community and social work, so I don't need to work extra hours after work to cover that, and I can include it in my Sneak calendar as well.
Yeah, I love that. How do you have, like, I have multiple calendars, unfortunately, because I have like Outpost Gray, and then I've got my Grant Thornton, and then I've got my client calendar. Do you have multiple calendars that you have to utilize? How do you merge them all? I use this phone for two of them and I can merge them. And then my client calendar, I have to like every like couple of days, I have to like go and check and make sure I've added the invites to this one because I can't forward them from my, yeah. How do you deal with
Yeah,
that?
The same. I try to synchronize everything, but it's hard work. That's a lot of efforts, and sometimes I do forget. So I do apologize for those who reach out to me and they don't see any reply for a couple of days. It's just I'll get to you. It's just yeah, and it needs to be in front of me visually, so I can remind myself to actually reply to people. Yeah.
I'm the same way. Yeah, I think people understand. And the people that don't understand, I mean, it is what it is. You're not going to always win friends and influence people. Some people just, have bad days. I always say, Oprah has a hater. So it is what it is. Okay. So before we wrap, I want to talk about GitHub Star. I know this is something that you have been a GitHub Star for a little over a year now, almost a year and a half. Can you talk a little bit about what the GitHub Star is and how you acquired that title?
Sure. So GitHub Star is a program that recognizes people in the community that is doing contributions and great things. So if you participate, if you contribute to open source, and in my case is more I'm contributing on the security side for securing open source software. And you cannot nominate yourself, so people need to nominate you. So when I received the email, I don't know if you remember this meme of the shock Pikachu face. This was me every time that I'm receiving like an award or this nomination. Is like, what? People actually nominated me for that? Wow.
Of course they are. Oh my God. That's awesome. That is so cool. So what do you have to do now that you've been nominated? Like, do you have to do like yearly events or like a certain amount giving back or anything like that?
Yeah, just making sure that we talk about the GitHub products and how you could use it for developers. So some like DevRel, some sort of like DevRel ambassadors program for that. And yeah, so on my side, I present the GitHub marketplace where you can find the GitHub tools, not only from GitHub, from different vendors, but because they are free for public repos and open source projects, just demonstrates how you could implement them to create a CI/CD pipeline, how you can harden your open source projects. So having this basic security best practices and making some due diligence and apply security hygiene into your projects to avoid issues in your packages or repositories.
That's amazing. Wow. That's awesome. Yeah, next, everybody, she's going to be in Forbes. So just be waiting for that. That's going to happen next. I promise you it is. So any big plans outside of like, you obviously have your plate full. You're doing a lot of things right now. Do you have any big projects? Are you thinking about starting a blog? You already have a blog, a YouTube, or maybe a podcast in the future, anything like that, or writing a book? I mean, in your free time?
Well, I
She's like,
when
yes.
people no no usually when people ask me that I reply that if there's only one thing that people remember from me is the thing that I'm doing with Epic Women in Tech and Epic Women in Cyber. If I can help at least one woman to like get a better job or get promoted or be inspired, I'll be really happy. So be remembered as someone who actually use their platform to support and help promote it and inspire young women and women in this industry. I'd be really happy with that. So continuing with these initiatives. Yeah, this is mainly. I mean, this is like my mission, my goal.
Oh my God, I love that. Oh, warms my heart. Okay, Sonya, before we hop off, I want to give you an opportunity. I like to give my guests an opportunity to do final thoughts. So I give the stage over to you, and you can just share your final thoughts with the community. It can be anything that you want to share with them. So the stage is yours.
Sure. Yeah, I would also because I know she's watching. So I know that my best piece of advice came from my mom. I know it's a bit cheesy also, but she's my role model. Also, I don't know if she understands because she speaks French, but I don't know. But I will translate to her later. But yeah, she's always been supporting me, and she's always telling me, just do it. She's being such an inspiration. And when I have something in mind that seems impossible at first, just for the sake of the journey, and what I'm going to learn through that journey, it's worth it. I've seen it when I've decided to switch careers, when I started blogging for Camp, when I started branding myself, when I was doing everything with Pride in London, or where I build a team, where I've been recognized by my peers, and I'm really grateful with on that by the industry, with GitHub Star initiatives and other, with Open UK as well, ambassador. Because I always think it's important to give back to the community, and if you can, please do, because this is really important to support the next generation. And I had the opportunity to talk at several events, and all of that is not to brag. As I said, I've always had that shocked Pikachu face. This is me when I'm receiving awards. Or I've recently been listed in the top 30 female cybersecurity leaders 2022, which is insane. This is like the Sonya from 6 years ago, looking at the Sonya from now, which is wow. Look at everything that you've achieved. It's just amazing. So yeah, if I'm using my platform now to inspire others, to mentor women, and just giving back to the community. Yeah, just do it. You got that. It's really great.
That was lovely. I love that. Oh my gosh, I'm telling you, you're going to be in Forbes next. It's going to be awesome. I'll be like, I remember you when. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you for making the time. I know it's late there, so let you get off, get to bed. But I'm going to send you to the green room. You can hang out there or hop off. It's up to you. This has been an absolute pleasure and an honor to be able to share your story with the Outpost Gray community. It's like a lasting legacy. It's going to be here forever. And literally in like another year or two, when you're like even bigger and badder, I'm going to be like, hey, look, remember this time in 2022, September 15th, Outpost Gray. It's awesome.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks, Jix, for giving me that opportunity. And yeah.
It was my pleasure. You're just you're the muse of this. So thank you so much for being my motivation behind this. Have a great night.
Thank you all.
Bye. Oh my gosh, that was amazing. I've been waiting to do that interview for a while. You guys are the best. I know we're at the top of the hour. Quick reminder for anybody that hopped in here. I just want to remind you, tomorrow, 9 a.m., make sure to tune in. A CyberFed News pre-recorded show. And then also, it's off our regular schedule, but we are doing a special event this coming Tuesday, September 20th, with WESIS. It's a veterans event. Anybody is welcome. We're also going to be raffling off one of Jerry Ozier's GRC classes. So you're going to have an opportunity to win one of his amazing masterclass in GRC. All right, guys, that's all I've got. If you're here and you haven't already gone over to Simply Cyber, head over to Simply Cyber. Make sure to drop in the chat, hashtag Outpost Gray, to let them know that you are rating from my station over here. And as always, thank you. Make sure to hit subscribe if you're new here, and then share this out with others. You guys are the best. I'm signing out. Bye.